So this is the Bulova ALCD. This is the second of the three Bulovas I got in that watch lot. You can see that the hands are set at 12 o'clock, which looks convenient, but I actually had to put everything back together. I got to the calendar ring and was cleaning that off when I realized that the camera wasn't on, so I put everything back together. And this is basically where I start, just taking the back off, but I'll try to only interject and hear what I have to say when it comes time to say that. And I've had a cold for the past week, and I was regretting having to do this because I know at some point I'm going to cough, and I don't want to have to edit out audio. But this did have quite a bit of rust, as you'll see in a second. I got to take out the spacer here. I did try to clean up the dial a little bit. There was a kind of almost a dusty film on it that I was able to brush off and clean up a little bit more, but it's still not in perfect condition. But I didn't expect to have a perfect looking dial, so that's fine with me. I'm going to try to talk when I don't have anything to say, so that's why I could keep babbling on and on and on, but you can start to see the rust there underneath the dial. There it is on the plate. Now you can see, looking at that calendar. Now I have several parts for these watches. This one has the date, so the only spare movement that I had for watch with the date was an ALCD, which is essentially the same thing but with an automatic movement. So the plates for the barrel bridge and the train bridge are going to be different to accommodate the mechanism for the automatic. And I did not want to use that, so I was hoping I could save as much as I could. You can see all the rust there over by the keyless works. And you can see all the rust on that date plate, and you can see that jumper. Unfortunately, I was hoping all through this video you're going to notice that I was using this jumper, and then when I set it aside and let it just run, it was stopping the entire movement. And what was in here, what I'm doing, actually this date ring was real bad when I originally took it apart. I'm just using a Q-tip to try to clean that rust off. But you could not even see those numbers. Anywhere from 23 to 27 were just covered in rust. So right now I'm trying to be as careful as I can. Unfortunately, I did lose a portion of the numbers. And back to what I was saying about the ALCD, I was trying to avoid using parts from that, but that jumper, what had happened, it was so rusted out that it was shifting. So it slides between two kind of, I guess, rails. And what was happening is it was so eaten away, it was shifting to the left or the right, and the date was getting it stuck. So it was stopping. And unfortunately, I did have to use the jumper from my ALCD to do this, and because I did kind of wipe away some of the numbers on the calendar ring, I just replaced it with that one too. And I'm sure that if I can get that ALCD, I'm gonna take this one apart and use that. If I can't find any more movements, the parts for that, because the dial on that is better. It's just I don't have a case for it. It's just a movement. Yeah, so you see all the rust right there. That stem is stuck in there. That's not going anywhere. I'll show that later on when I get to that point. That's just rust. Yeah, I got a million other things I got to do. So, editing this, narrating it, and putting these videos together is kind of something I got to juggle in and find time for. Just the other videos that I normally do, those are pretty easy, but I've got to, well, first of all, remember to turn the damn camera on, and then after I turn the camera on, I got to download it, and I got to edit it, and then I got to go back and do this part, which is the part I hate the most, which is shooting my mouth off, hoping I don't say something stupid, which I most often will. So there's the balance bridge. It's a balance bridge, not a balance cock, because it does have 2 screws. Did I say balance bridge? Pallet bridge. I don't know. I may have said balance. Alright, now I take this wheel off. And you can see that is not a Presto hand removing tool. That actually has 3 prongs that is designed for removing that wheel. Yeah, this one was a tough one to get out, that ratchet wheel screw. Doesn't look like it was a problem, but I did edit it out to find me struggling with it. Yeah, fortunately, I did have all the replacement parts for that. You'll see that later. I think I have maybe 5 or 6 11AL versions of this and just the movement, so I've got plenty of parts. Yeah, there's a little bit of rust there. I cleaned that up. I don't think I replaced that. Yeah, we'll see at the end. I don't remember. This video was actually, I did all 3 of those plus 2 more videos, all within a couple of days of getting the watches. So I've had this ready. It's just this part of it I haven't done. So, I forget certain things because I've been moving on to other watches, so not everything is burned into my memory. You're going to see something fun here in a second. Well, it's not really fun. There you go. That sweep second pinion right there is dead. That is gone. That is just rusted. And it's not going to come out there. I did have to replace that. And that also came off the ALCD because this does have the date function. So unlike the AL, all the cannon pinion, the hour wheel, and the sweep second pinion are all longer because they have to go through that extra layer that is not on any of the other ALs. Well, all the other ALs are similar movements that do not have the date. Yeah, because of that set lever screw is all rusty, that didn't want to come off very easy. Surface rust. Most of the other stuff in this seemed to be fine. I really didn't see that much issue. Of course, that sweep second pinion was a mess. And then when you see it here in a second, I'll shut up until it happens. There it is. Yep, so that center wheel wants to come off with the pinion. Nope. Okay, we're going to deal with that off camera. You can see all that rust there. And that stem is stuck in there. That's not coming out. Well, it did come out, but I'm trying to push on it. Nope, doesn't want to come. Yeah, everything is locked into place. Yes, that bridge is fine. You just get a little bit of that rust off at the end of the spring. I am taking that one jewel out. I usually just leave them in until after it's cleaned and then clean off the jewels and oil them. But I'm taking them off now because what I'm going to do to dissolve that rust, because everything is stuck in there, is stick it in a little plate of Coca-Cola for just maybe 15 minutes or so, just to kind of eat away at that rust. And then what I did was I transferred that, and I didn't want that jewel in there while it was in the Coca-Cola. And then what I did was I transferred it over to white vinegar, just to kind of get a little bit more of the rust off and loosen it up a little bit. So all of that wasn't done underneath the microscope here. That was done over by a sink. Alright, so there you can see now after I soaked it in there, I just got a pin vise and started turning it and loosening that stem up, and it still didn't want to pull out. So I was able to push it out. Now I'm using a different pin vise here. This one went down to 0 to get that set screw out. Was able to grab onto that. That's trash. And you can see I'm just picking away at some of the rust with my brass tweezers. I like the brass tweezers. And since all that service rust, well, there we go. I popped that out. Just take a Q-tip and, wipe that all off before it. Now, once I get done with this, because there is still going to be remnants of rust and gunk on it, I'm going to put it in the ultrasonic with some cleaning fluid, and then I'm going to put it in the cleaning machine because I don't want all of that in the nice. So I have extra stems. You see I have all the extra parts. So this wasn't a problem. The stuff I could keep, I did, but as you can see, some of that stuff is just pure trash. There really isn't a whole lot I could do with it. Well, at least and have the watch function. But I do have, I did buy watchmaker's lot years and years, several watchmaker's lots over the years. So I do have vials of Bulova stems because I was buying a lot of Bulovas at the time. Now I'm just cleaning off the plate with the Q-tip. And then I'm going to kind of get in there with some pegwood. There's the pegwood. I was getting rust all over the base of the microscope, so I put the paper towel down. This is kind of out of order because obviously you can see this was done before what you just. Anyway, you figure it out. I guess I should have edited it a little bit better, but there we go. Now it's out of the cleaning machine. Now that part's done. And you can see I put the jewel back in. Obviously, I forgot to turn the camera on when I did that, so magically the jewel appeared. Dab of oil. And a little dab of oil. Alright, now you're about to see me put my finger on that, and that's to hold it into place while I put the screws in. I do not push down. Usually you got to fiddle with that escape wheel. That's going to have the longest pivots, and so I do have to fiddle around with that, and I just put my finger on there. Once that pivot's in place, all the pivots are in place. Then I hold it down when I put the screws in so that that plate doesn't shift. All right, at this point I'm putting in the old sweep second pinion, and that's going to be replaced. That's no good. That's just, I think there was, well, I don't even remember, but it was just a piece of junk. I don't know, maybe that is the new one. I don't think so. I don't think I decided to. That one does look clean. I don't remember if that's the good one or not, but you know, it was after I decided that I was actually going to rob it from that. Maybe that's when I changed it. I don't know. Like I said, I usually deal with I always, right now at least, am dealing with the mainspring away from the microscope, because if it does pop out, I'd rather hit me in the face than hit the lens. Doesn't happen very often, but if it does, not only that, it's taken me longer than I expected to get used to this thing, because I'm used to everything being right in my face and not a foot away or having to extend my hands. I don't remember where I'm putting this. Oh, okay, that's for the click. Yeah, I just ordered 2 more watches, so those should be coming pretty soon. Those are 2 watches I found interesting looking, I guess. So I kind of got those, and they're coming. I did order 2 more I got 2 more, and I did an unboxing for it, but I must have deleted that video out. But that is for, a watch that I'm wearing right now, which is a Mito Multi-Fort Powermatic, and also a Bulova pocket watch. So I was able to do one of these videos of the servicing for that, but both of those videos are complete, as, like I said, the third one, but it's just a matter of time. Now, see what I just did there? That's not what you normally should do. I was able to sneak that in there, but you usually want to put on that auxiliary wheel that's attached to the 4th wheel after you do this part. But I wasn't going to take it back off and put it back on, because as you can see, I already did that a couple times because I was dealing with the rust on that sweep second pinion. I was able to sneak in underneath, so I guess if you want to do it this way, I just wouldn't recommend it. Not that you're going to hurt anything, but the paddle fork, this is another thing that I usually tend to do, like off camera or outside of the microscope, so that it's right at the end of my nose, because those pivots are so, I mean, all of them are small, but those pivots are so small, I just do not trust. I like to see the pivot sticking through the jewel. Um, so right now I'm just kind of feeling for it in place, but then at some point it's going to come over to me and I'm going to use the loop so that I can see that. And another thing about this microscope is, yes, I can zoom it in so I can see that pivot sticking through the pivot hole in the jewel. It's just that I like to have it right at the tip of my nose, looking in it with a good loop. I'm just tapping it back and forth just to see, make sure it doesn't hesitate or stop in the middle or do something like that. I just give it a couple of winds, maybe 2 or 3 winds with the screwdriver. Yeah, I just finished my first beer and I'm kind of waiting for this to end so I can get up and get the second one. But there's only a few more minutes left, so yeah, I'm shifting in my chair so all that creaking. I made a little bit of a mess right there with the grease. Yeah, I like the brass tweezers. I know there's other people out there who like the stainless steel. I used to use stainless steel, and then I bought the brass, and I just fell in love with it. Some people say maybe it's just too soft, it does bend, but I always just bend it back. Um, I do it this way. This is the way I get that spring in there, is I put my finger down because I can feel it, and 99% of the time I get it on the first time without it flying across the room. When I see people using pegwoods or little sticks or other things, I just put my finger on it and pop it into place with the tweezers. But back to the brass tweezers, I like them, and so I have a pair all over the place. So wherever I am, I can. Well, I don't have them in my car because I don't do this kind of stuff. So it's just. I just set the steel tweezers aside. I do use them if something's being a pain to come out, because they will bend the brass easy, and it's no, if it's bending the brass, it's just going to keep bending the brass. So I'll use the steel tweezers then, and then of course I use the steel tweezers for hairsprings and stuff like that. The anti-magnetic, of course. And there you can see that date ring was changed. You see 21, I lost a little bit of that, and then at 26 I lost a little bit of that. But since I was using that that jumper from the ALCD, I just decided to just swap it all out. So this, what you're seeing, is going to end up coming out and being replaced. Because the jumper was moving back and forth fine, and that spring that pushes it into place, there you can see, well, see, it seems to be sliding fine. I did put a drop of oil in there. It's just that it's shifting. And there I'm using a, using a pin vise to turn the stem because I hadn't had a crown for it yet. Alright, we're almost finished because all I'm going to do is stick the balance on, and I think that's about it. And of course I didn't show oiling the jewel or taking the balance off and cleaning that in the old one dip, but again, that's me forgetting to turn the camera on. There it goes. All the excitement and fun of that balance swinging back and forth until it wants to stop. And then I just wind it up and there it goes. Yeah, I did find the crown. Actually, well, you'll see it in the next video if you actually watch the video that I do on the dimensions and everything. Oh no, I didn't forget to turn the camera on. Here I go. I'm changing, or I'm gonna take out the jewel right now. Stupid me. There we go. Using the old Rodico to pop that bad boy out. Well, I didn't show me oiling it, did I? No, I did not. That's fine. It did get oiled. You can trust me. I did oil it. Almost time for my next beer. Come on, Mark. Just finish this stupid thing up. And if you want to see the finished product, watch the video I'm going to post minutes after I do this one. And if you like the video, click like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.